Welcome to an insightful discussion on the complexities of mean time between failure metric, also known as MTBF. I'm Ryan Chan, the CEO and founder of UpKeep. By the end of this video, you'll have a clearer understanding of the potential risks and considerations when using the mean time between failure metric. We will highlight how this average value can sometimes be misleading and the importance of defining breakdown and uptime within your team. Let's unravel the mystery of this seemingly simple but tricky metric. So, let's dive into the topic of the dangers of using the mean time between failure metric. It's all about the details, or more accurately, the lack of them. You see, the mean time between failure metric is calculated by dividing the total uptime duration by the number of failures. But here's where it gets tricky. Because the mean time between failure metric is essentially an average value, you can't immediately tell if the metric is being influenced more by the uptime duration or by the number of breakdowns. Let's discuss some important aspects to keep in mind when using the mean time between failure metric. Firstly, let's consider the use of the mean time between failure metric across multiple assets. When you're using the mean time between failure metric to measure the reliability of multiple assets, you need to clearly understand how the mean time between failure metric values can vary. Let's say you have 10 electric motors that run for 10 hours each, and they experience a total of 10 breakdowns. This would result in a mean time between failure metric of 10. But here's the catch. The mean time between failure metric assumes that failure rates are constant. In a perfect world, each of the 10 motors would break down once over the whole duration, but you could get the same mean time between failure metric of 10 if only one of the motors broke down 10 times. This is a pretty extreme example of how taking the average might not accurately reflect the actual state of things. Secondly, we need to talk about the definition of a breakdown. When you're using the mean time between failure metric, you need to be crystal clear about what you consider a breakdown. Everyone on your team should agree on this definition so the metric can be measured consistently. For instance, would a nationwide blackout that causes stoppages be considered a breakdown? What about minor operator errors that cause less than a minute of stoppage? If everyone agrees on what a breakdown is, you can avoid deviations and ensure consistent measurements across the plant. Thirdly, let's discuss the definition of uptime. This is the other component of the mean time between failure metric, and it should also be clearly defined. Do you count warm-up and cool-down times as part of uptime? Or do you only include times when production outputs are constant, like during steady-state operations? Now, don't get me wrong. The mean time between failure metric when used as a reliability metric can be a very useful tool for gaining insights, but only if it's used correctly and consistently. The key here is to clearly define all components. Definitions and calculations should be properly aligned across your team. So, remember, when it comes to using the mean time between failure metric, the devil is in the details. And that brings us to the end of this video. We've explored the complexities of the mean time between failure metric, discussed its potential risks and considerations, and highlighted the importance of clear definitions for breakdown and uptime. Thank you for joining us. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to our channel for more insights. And for further information, visit our website at upkeep.com. Remember, when it comes to maintenance and reliability, every detail matters.